Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and genders all across the spectrum, to episode 63 of Jivin with Jack. You know, yesterday I sat down and I was thinking to myself, what is today's show going to be about? What are we going to discuss? What are we going to talk about? Not much news happened over the weekend. Scream had a big box office weekend, and lo and behold, God answers my prayers, and Joss Whedon puts out an article through New York Magazine. Now, to read the full thing, you have to buy the damn magazine, but I bought it. It was like $5-6, whatever. And we're going to go through it line by line. We're going to skip the whole introductory crap where they talk about his career and everything. But let me get this out of the way. I am this is hard for me. And I've said this before on the show because I grew up kind of idolizing Joss Whedon for the longest time. He was kind of the king of the nerds. He was like the first writer of a television show that everyone kind of knew. He created Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He created Angel. He created Firefly. Like he created Dollhouse. He created a lot of great shows. And then, of course, he directed Avengers 1 and 2. This is someone that really was a major player in the whole idea of feminism in Hollywood with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And all these accusations came about him. And it's hard to hear. And unfortunately, he does not make a good case for himself. He does not make a good case for himself. At least I don't feel like he does make a good case for himself. So to help me through with this is going to be like a traditional show because it'll just be me and Austin today. Caden is taking a week off. He's getting a little bit of rest, much deserved rest. He works for about 300 other YouTubers. So he just needs a break. But let me bring in my co-host, the man with the $1 million voice, Austin Lean 360.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here and I'm on time. And
hey.
I did it. All the best from Canada. I love Canada, man.
Yep.
You know, I went to Canada once, and first on my arrival, the people are so nice there.
Yeah.
The guy just immediately just offered me his arm. His entire arm. Was going to cut it off right there and just here.
Really?
Yeah, and very sweet group of people. I love the Canadians.
Yeah, they're great. Check this out. My mom found this at a thrift store. I don't know why she still goes to thrift stores, but it's old habits die hard. A 1988 Michael Keaton bat plane. It's a little toy made by Ertz. Take a look at that. Woo! Dun, 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 dun. Flash it off my forehead. All right. Oh, look at that. Benson coming out with big guns. Hope this chat is not ridiculous like The Lounge, who compared Whedon to Kevin Spacey and twisted the story into race and BLM situation. Enosh is losing friends everywhere with this nonsense.
Well, I'm curious. I didn't watch last night. I took a nice night off and went to sleep.
I actually slept early too last night.
Yeah, but I will say this, right? Jack and I have both. We read the article. Yeah, I know. It's just, when did Caden take over as the co-host for this? Gets his own thing.
There we go. How about Tyler Roberts?
Oh God! You know, we read the whole article and it's entitled. It's a long read. It's not just about the DC stuff and Justice League. There's a lot to unpack there. But yeah, this dude's definitely a racist piece of shit. This dude is definitely a racist piece of crap. Outside of the stuff, even with Ray, man, the stuff that he said about Gal. Are you kidding me?
He said that she doesn't speak English or whatever. I'm like,
Ray, English isn't her first language, dude.
Dude. If he just come out and apologize and said, look, I was under a lot of stress. I did not mean to say some of the things I said. You know, I'm a believer in forgiveness. Like, that could have been what he could have done with this and said, look, if I came off the way to Gal, apologize. But then it's not just Justice League. It's going back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's going back to other shows. It's going to Angel. And it's like, damn. So this is a pattern of behavior. It's not like, okay, you could make the case that, okay, maybe he was in a bad place in his life. And during the reshoots of Justice League, he went through some stuff. Does it excuse everything? No, but humans are humans, right? But like this goes back to 97.
But here's the thing, man. Okay. It looks like we're just diving right in. We're just gonna get into it.
I wanted to start with Activision buying Microsoft buying Call of Duty, but yeah, let's get into this.
The chat's not having it, man.
Yeah.
No, look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, when I finished reading, he basically finds every excuse in the book that he can pull out to make people, to what I can only assume is that he wants people to sympathize with him. He talks a lot about how he was raised in his childhood and what he went through and all this, and you know, being a nerd who didn't really be, you know, wasn't around women. All of a sudden I was around them and I had to sleep with all of them. I just had to. You know, there is a lot of stuff in there, man. That
Yeah,
you're deflecting the real issues here, the real reasoning to your childhood and to things you went through and all this stuff. You know what, man? As far as I'm concerned, this guy is desperate.
Yeah. And Ben said, thanks so much for the 10 pounds.
Yeah, Joss Whedon is desperate in a way that that is sad. And I have never seen I mean, Ray put out the perfect tweet this morning.
Yeah.
This guy probably spent probably hundreds, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars on PR and prepping for all of this. Yeah. And he managed to make himself look, and he looked bad.
You're supposed to be arrested. Go away.
Even worse. Yeah, Katie, you're on vacation. Get out of here. No, I'm kidding. What's up, man? But yeah, that's the thing. He managed to make himself look even worse than he already did.
Yeah, and you know, I'm guessing apparently, you know, the writer of this article had been trying for a long time to get a hold of him. Had been trying for a long time to sort of like, you know, get a hold of him, and it's just kind of crazy that it's like, yikes. I mean, I don't know who told him to do this, but like, part of me is just like, I think the author was expecting a crap storm and got a crap storm. You know, it was like, all right, you know, you want salaciousness, we're gonna get you salaciousness. Right. But you know, he did a photo shoot and he does not look good. I mean, I know age hits everyone, but he just does not look good.
Yeah, he looks terrible. And yeah, you know, and I, you know, after reading the article, Jarbo, I kind of feel maybe he didn't spend any money on a piece. Maybe he thought he'd try and do this himself, but man, again, just horrible on all sides. The way that he decided to handle it, it was just honestly, it was shocking.
There's absolutely like no remorse or even like saying, okay, it was a misunderstanding or I misbehaved or I said this. It's like, nope. He says going back to Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, everybody gave him problems. Everybody else is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just pathetic. But this one, I didn't hear about this story until I read it. Right here towards the bottom, it says Buffy costume designer Cynthia Bergstrom recalled an incident that happened during the filming of season 5. In one episode, Spike asked a sadistic science nerd to create a sex robot version of Buffy. Whedon and Geller did not agree on what Buffy bot should wear. Sarah was adamant about it being a certain way. Bergstrom said the costume she wanted was a bit grandma-ish, a pleated skirt and high neck. He definitely wanted it to be sexier. On the day Geller tried the different options, Whedon grew frustrated. I was like, Joss, let's get her dressed, Bergstrom recalled. He grabbed my arm and dug his fingernails until his fingernails imprinted the skin, and I said, you're hurting me. Okay, this is not during Joss Whedon's Justice League. This is during Buffy season 5, which is like 2000. Oh boy, 2000, 2001. So this is going back 20 years. I mean, that is crazy. She says, I've had my share of shitty showrunners, but the intent to hurt, that's the thing that stands out for me now. A high-level member of the Buffy production team recalled Whedon's habit of writing really nasty notes, but that wasn't what disturbed her most about working with him. Whedon was rumored to be having affairs with 2 young actresses on the show. Wonder who that was. One day, he and one of the actresses came into her office while she was working. She heard a noise behind her. They were rolling around on the floor making out. They would bang into my chair. She said, "How can you concentrate? It was gross. This happened more than once. These actions proved he had no respect for me and my work. She quit the show even though she had no other job lined up." I mean, right there, it's like, okay, this guy seems to be making up for high school. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to do that, like, in a studio, he had a lot of power. I remember he once was quoted that he had the best job. He's working around, like, all these young, attractive women all day, and it's like, I mean, hey, I would love that. But, like, dude, there's, like, no line between professionalism and your own personal,
Dude, and then earlier in the interview, again, he talks about how growing up and stuff, he was a nerd, and he was, he wasn't necessarily popular. He didn't sleep with a lot of women and all of that, right? And then all of a sudden you do Buffy, and he's very popular, and people, all of that. Look, he says one of the most shocking statements he makes in the entirety of the interview, outside of the Justice League stuff and all of that, is that he goes, because of the power, I felt like I had to sleep with the women.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't have a choice. Wow. And I'm like, dude, for a man to think, for a male to have that kind of mindset, it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah, and it's very dangerous.
Dangerous mindset.
And this doesn't help right here. It says during the 7th, so Michelle Trachtenberg, she played Buffy's sister starting in season 5. Right. It says Trachtenberg. Now, we had heard the story before, but during when Trachtenberg was 16, go ahead.
Because Benson says, Enosh claimed last night that Fisher isn't finished. He's not. And that's not something Enosh is claiming to know. That's something Ray Fisher tweeted out.
Yeah, I mean, he's working on other stuff too, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
No, Ray, as far as Ray Fisher isn't finished talking about this stuff, and he's not. As soon as the article came out yesterday, Ray tweeted out, "I'm not going to acknowledge this today. I'm going to take the day,
So here's the thing. I disagree about his wooden acting skills. I thought he was phenomenal.
Oh, no.
I mean, all the critics, unless they were all paid, even the ones who didn't like the movie, said he was a standout of the film.
Gosh, man. Oh,
that's
the other thing that I read that, and I was like, this has got to be just the lamest. Dude, are you serious? Like, you're literally going to come and tell me this idiot, Joss Whedon, really thinks that the excuse of, he's a bad actor on both sides. Shut up.
Yeah,
dude, we saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and on top of it, don't you dare give me that shit that he was a bad actor, because let me tell you, if you're a good director, like James Gunn, who recently talked about his budget for Guardians, that's not what he wants, but he has to figure out stuff creatively so that he can still tell the story that he wants. That's what you do, Joss. You got a bad actor? Guess what? You had tons of footage you could have used.
Yeah.
You had tons. And you know what? You could have made your story work around that. That's what a good creative person does.
What was the racism claim against?
Phenomenal as far as acting, and as far as his first role, the guy knocked it out of the park. And it's funny that Josh says that too, because Ray was probably one of the most talked about characters.
Yeah,
I mean, that is one of the lamest excuses. And again, it just goes to show me this guy's a racist piece of shit.
Well, so what's the racism claim? I'm still not clear. Was it that he had to make him say "booyah"? Because I know that.
No. It's that, obviously the tone of the film. Now, look, as far as the racism stuff, I'm not necessarily backing. I don't know what other stuff, but I can tell you based off of his comment with Gal, based off that comment with Ray. Come on, dude, you're a bad actor.
Yeah.
When you had a ton of footage that you could have used, name one director.
Yeah.
Name one director that comes out and complains about their cast and goes, "Oh, they're bad acting. It wasn't my fault."
Yeah.
So where's the evidence from Fisher, or is he desperate to remain relevant?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and assume that Warner Brothers saw it and gave him the kibosh because they haven't.
I mean, for me, the evidence, Benson, is in how things were handled, and in Joss's interview, he literally says, "Oh yeah, the cast gave me problems." Bullshit. You know what? And if they did, that is their fucking right. Yeah. Because they signed on to not make Joss Whedon's movie.
Yeah.
They signed on to make Zack's storyline and all of that, and Joss decided to go the complete opposite way. So the evidence is in all of this. It's in all of this. It's in how the cast has talked about it. It's in that obviously Joss was fired from his show at Warner Brothers at HBO. The evidence is all around.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't see it, it's...
I mean, I'm always very, especially when it comes to the word racism, I'm like, show me the evidence. So on that sense, I need to know what specifically was said. But that being said, this again is part of a pattern of behavior.
Yep.
You know, if someone says that someone assaulted me and you're like, where's the evidence? But then there's a history of this person assaulting people for 20 years, then you'd be like, well, it's more likely true than not. But I mean, going back to...
And again, when you have the entire cast talk about it, you heard Ben, you heard Jason, you heard Gal, you heard like almost every single one of these guys made a comment about how miserable they were during the Justice League shoot. And like... As that's the other thing that stood out to me that I really couldn't stand. Look, I understand there are some directors out there, and most of the directors out there that do this, that make their actors stick completely to the script. Guess what? Guess what, Jack? They've earned it. Yeah. They've been in the business making these movies for 30, 40 plus years. And actors respect that from those directors because they've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
So when Joss comes in and goes, you're going to follow my script to the T, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'd be giving him a big middle finger. I would. As an actor, you better believe it. I'd be giving him a big... you cannot wheel out Fisher's story in a 2-hour film. Saying he was a bad actor is not racist. So then you know what you do, Benson? You're a creative. You're a director, right? You've been in this for years. You figure it out. You figure it out. Dude, this guy has excuse after excuse after excuse out of the ass. They're not even good excuses.
Yeah. And look, as Prakash noted, Charisma Carpenter's tweeted in the last hour, hashtag I stand with Ray Fisher, the malevolent force and bad actor in both senses, who poisoned my feeble mind with trendy buzzwords and corrupt ideas about my experiences with a former tyrannical, narcissistic boss who is unable to apologize and just be accountable. So here we go. So Charisma retweeted this, or Ray tweeted it. She retweeted it. What if Fisher had been doing Snyder's bidding? See, now this is one of those conspiracy theories.
God, and the fact that Whedon brought that up, you know, this dude was on the internet going, I need to find all my defenders to.
Our colleague Jody was saying, he said that he had heard that Ray Fisher had been told to behave like this by Zack. What if Fisher had been doing Snyder's bidding? Without furnishing proof, they speculate that Snyder had tricked Fisher into thinking Whedon was a racist. Or maybe Fisher knew perfectly well his allegations were BS. Either way, the actor and director had manufactured a controversy that made Snyder seem like a progressive ally while diverting attention for the fact that their early cut had been a disaster. Well, apparently it was a disaster. Did really well this year. Whedon's advocates believe this campaign had poisoned Carpenter against Whedon, causing her to see the complicated story of their relationship in a simplistic narrative of abuse. Once someone lights a fuse and people see there's a flame, they run to it and throw stuff into it. One person in Whedon's circle. Okay, so let's talk real quick about this because I do have some knowledge about this. Charisma Carpenter played Cordelia on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then she was spun off into the Angel show where her character developed. The way without getting into spoilers, the way they wrote her character in season 4 and 5 made absolutely no sense. She was killed off very unapologetically. It was kind of like, dude, what are you doing to this amazing character? And now from Charisma's point of view, we get the story. She had gotten pregnant. It happened, folks. Joss was upset about that. And they integrated that into the story. Then at some point, she became spiritual. She got like a rosary tattooed on her back somewhere. He got upset about that. Asked her if she was going to keep the baby and stuff like that. And you're just like, ooh. Wrote her off in the most horrible way. And then Joss Whedon is also the reason Angel got canceled, because he decided that he demanded an early renewal, even though it was the best show on CW or WB at the time. And they said, just wait till April. We'll let you know. He's like, no, I want an answer now. He's like, well, if you want an answer now, the answer is no. And canceled what arguably, in my opinion, was his best show.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny is
that's right, Kate, I do remember this. There was something about he I guess he messed with the lighting or something to do with
he claims the studio wanted to and I don't necessarily believe that. That's just a Joss Whedon film. He just wanted to make it look like one of his movies and stuff. Look, it's very obvious that this guy coming off Age of Ultron had a massive ego. Oh my God, his ego. He thought if Jack, if he could have, he would have sucked his own dick. I guarantee you. That is the type of person that he was. If he could have, he would have bent over.
Is that an egotistical thing to do? Whoops.
Yeah, right. Like, this guy is seriously, and you really get the sense of that he took that Justice League thing with the mentality of like, oh, I'm gonna make this better, and this is gonna all the
like the Masters here.
And Benson, read the entire article. I encourage you. I will send you screenshots if you don't want to buy it. Honestly,
you must read
the evidence. It's in your face, dude. It's so in your face.
Yeah,
not just coming from Ray, but from all sides.
It reminded me a little bit. Not that the actions are comparable, but it reminded me a little bit of R. Kelly's interview. Like, in his mind, this was going to be a great idea, and he just came off looking more and more guilty as the interview went on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And in the same way, the article is similar. Like, the more he spoke, I was expecting apologies. I was expecting, a little bit of maybe sorrow and saying, look, I'm sorry the movie didn't turn out well. I'm sorry about the way things went between me and the cast.
Kaden, he probably hated pregnant women because he's impotent.
Yeah.
He's mad he can't.
Ben Affleck. I heard a story of Ben Affleck almost beat the shit out of him. Like, it almost came to like fisticuffs. It's like, dude, don't pick a fight with Batman, especially one that's like 6'3", 220 pounds, like 4% body fat.
And as far as Ben not being Batman, I think there's a lot of things that factor into that. I think that was a big one for sure. Yeah. Justice League was that was probably a tipping point.
Yeah.
But he's talked about, age and different things being a factor.
Yeah. And oh my God, I mean, this was just really a bad idea, but props to whoever got him to do this. I mean,
now the other thing that's weird about that is they talk about in the article, this was written and conducted 6 months ago.
Oh yeah, Benson was saying that.
It's really interesting that Joss decided. It very much seems like he did this and like, all right, let's wait until there's the right time. Obviously, Ray Fisher this weekend.
Yeah.
Kind of put his foot in his mouth. Let's be honest, right?
Well, what did Ray say?
I stand with Ray Fisher. I back him 100%, especially in all of this.
Yeah.
But this weekend, he put his foot in his mouth a little bit and decided to quote tweet James Gunn and ask for an explanation on some stuff. That kind of made Ray sound a little, at least the way that he tweeted it and stuff, made Ray sound a little out of place, right?
Okay.
James then addressed the tweet, quoted it, and said gave the story as to what happened. That was the end of it. Again, like I said, but it wasn't really the best look for Ray because he called out something, trying to make it look, like trying to put someone in a position, and it didn't work. So, probably I'm sure Whedon looked at that. Yeah. Obviously, Whedon's following what's happening. He knows the Snyder fandom doesn't like him.
Yeah,
he knows. He knows about a lot of this stuff. He knows about the conspiracies that people who are fans of his that come up and go, "Oh no, Ray was under Zach's." He's aware. This guy is calculated. He's smart. He's not dumb.
Yeah,
he's not dumb like he wants you to believe. He wants you to believe he's dumb. He didn't know what he was doing. He was young. He was a young showrunner. I didn't know. I would, it all got to me. I could yell at people and come on, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care in any job that you have. You really think your first job in anything outside of film, you act like that's going to be accepted?
Yeah.
It's common sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if he did it 6 months ago, was Snyder Cut? Yeah, Snyder Cut was out at that point. So it makes me wonder what his thinking behind this was. I mean, I know that he had a show for HBO that they canceled, I think, didn't they? Like, I think
Yes,
they.
the Nevers he was going to run. And Benson, look, I didn't mean to come off as patronizing. I was being honest, right? I want you to read the full article if you haven't, and if you hadn't, I'm willing to provide that. So I'm not trying to come off as patronizing, but you're asking me where the evidence is, and I'm asking you, have you read the article? Because it's there. Joss basically gives you the evidence himself. He tells you the cast was rude. It was the rudest group of people I've ever worked with in my entire career. Maybe because you're a dick and you thought you were probably going to come in and make, be the king of Marvel and DC. You probably had an attitude.
Yeah. See, again, Benson, all this stuff is allegedly until
he says it himself.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, oh, well, maybe, Gal Gadot's English isn't her first language. She didn't understand what I was saying. And then Gal tweeted out, I understood perfectly what he was saying. Like, this dude is picking fights. How do I put this? Like, you're on a sinking ship. Go out with a little bit of respect. You could have easily have made this an apology. Even if you feel like it's not your fault, just say, look, I'm sorry, blah, blah. I apologize to the fans about how the 2017 film turned out. I apologize to Charisma. I apologize to Michelle Trachtenberg. But even Sarah Michelle Gellar came out and tweeted that there was a rule that we don't have Michelle Trachtenberg in a room alone with Joss Whedon. That comes off as kind of like, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I mean? Let me do now. That's just straight up weird.
And then she said,
that's just straight up creepy.
And then she also said, Sarah Michelle Gellar, that I will always be attached to the character of Buffy, but I don't want to be attached to Joss Whedon. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm like, ugh. Oh boy. I mean, you could easily make the case that her career is where it is because of him. But like, for someone to say something like that, it's pretty shocking. Or them, we had Tubby Affleck pissed at a sulky Fisher. But see, now where are you getting that from? I mean, yeah, he was a little bit tubby and a sulky Fisher. Unless you were on set, how do you know if he was sulky or not?
Well, you have was it Sadfleck? Is it Sadfleck?
Sadfleck, yeah. That was during BBS, though. That was during BBS.
No. I mean, look, it's again, Benson, man, if you signed up to do this story and you knew the outline of the story, you know where things are going, you know all of this, and blah blah blah. You signed up to play that character a certain way for a certain somebody, studio or not.
Yeah.
The actor has every single right to be upset that all of a sudden what they signed up for has been changed without their consent or their will. And not only on top of it, most of them probably stuck in contracts. So yeah, I'd be pissed. And rightfully so. I don't get, like, they're completely in their rights.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to find this one part right here, but here we go.
I mean, yeah, also, so maybe they were rude. Affleck was pissed and overweight. Fisher was sulking as his role was chopped for a 2-hour movie. I would call them rude if that's how they behaved. No, Benson. I would call them actors doing their job because they signed up to do something, and now they're being told they got to do what they signed up for is something completely different. It's I understand and stuff, but like, you have to just, like, these guys didn't sign up for Joss's story or Warner's version, and if that's the case, then again, this all just goes back to Warner Brothers' fault. For changing the story in the middle and making those actors that did sign up for something different stay on.
Yeah, I mean, it continues here that after Buffy ended in 2003, he slept with famous employees and colleagues. That's boss move right there. Not just kidding. He always told me he had a lot of female fans, but here's what's interesting. His wife said She accused him of using feminism as a cover for his infidelities. And she was diagnosed with complex PTSD, the same condition as him. Quote, I want the people who worship him to know he is human. I spoke with 3 women who dated Whedon after his marriage ended. In the stories, he was not the hero they had read about in the press, the one who wanted to see women in control. He is more like the cold-blooded men he depicted in his work. Sarah, a pseudonym, met Whedon after he was promoting Age of Ultron. She was a 22-year-old freelance writer who interviewed him for a pop culture website. After the piece published, they began a relationship. He led me to believe he was single. One night she went out for drinks alone with a friend Whedon wanted her to meet. After the friend mentioned she had a long-term boyfriend, Sarah asked what his name was. She said, I'm dating Joss Whedon. Ooh. Erin Shane, a writer who moonlights as a psychic medium, okay, got involved with Whedon in 2013 while working as an assistant on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He created one of the younger brothers. He was 49, she was 23, and a virgin. One day, Whedon texted her with an unusual request. Would she come over to his house for the weekend to watch him write? He would pay $2,500, more than she made in a month as an assistant. There was one caveat. Here we go. Wait, where am I? It feels like there was one caveat. She had to hide it from her boss. They did it on and off and secretly for nearly a year before she slept with him. Now, it's got to suck to lose your virginity to Joss Whedon because you can't imagine he's good at all.
Right. And Benson says, but they should be upset with WB and not the director brought in to completely change the movie to a 2-hour version. Can you see my point? Yes, I do. I do see your point. Again, I think it's the way that Whedon conducted himself. If he probably went in there with that arrogance and with all of that, also too, just like some of the things were just so out of story and stuff. The way that
Whedon could have made a good movie.
Yeah,
could have made a good movie.
That's the thing is it's like, even I would give you that, right? But he didn't even make a good movie. He didn't. It feels like he didn't. Again, it feels like he was going in there to be like, oh, I'm going to be the king of Marvel and DC, and I'll just, He
rewrote things that he made him worse.
Exactly. Like, and the biggest one for me about it is Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons came out and he said, man, I was rewriting my lines because this guy couldn't write for shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he can't write because obviously he has a history. He is a good creative. He's done good works. I just don't think DC is his wheelhouse. DC is not. That's not where he thrives. It's not. Those aren't his characters. I just, for me, but they were not doing their jobs. That's the whole point. They're professionals and shit. But why should they be required to do a job they didn't sign up for?
Mm-hmm.
After doing all these years of work to prep, right, for the Justice League and all of that. You had Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. You had stories that were all told. Like, yes, because at the end of the day, these actors were in the middle of all this mess too. Their performances got so yes, and the story got chastised and all absolutely, they were upset and mad and again, for me, I don't think they acted like babies at all. I think again, they did their job.
But I think what Benson's trying to say is, should we blame Warner Brothers more for this? Well, maybe, but is it Warner Brothers' fault how he behaved on set? Ooh, look at that perfect picture.
Oh, God.
Hello. What's this about? Let's see. Liberator, Love Boldly. Oh, so something more interesting. Did we write a version of Wonder Woman? An older
he did write a script for Wonder Woman that was kind of iffy.
So here's where we get to this good stuff. That year, Whedon took a job doing rewrites for Warner Brothers' film Justice League, a DC property directed by Zack Snyder. For two white men in their 50s making comic book flicks, he and Snyder could hardly have been less creatively or philosophically aligned.
Correct.
While Whedon's superhero epics were leavened by irony and wordplay, Snyder's were brooding and self-important, with a visual style that combined the artificiality of a video game with the fascist aesthetic of a Lenny Riefenstahl production. Okay. All right. It's interesting to use Riefenstahl, but okay. Snyder's fans were every bit as ardent as Whedon had been, but his previous effort, Batman vs. Superman, had faltered at the box office and offended critics, with A.O. Scott going so far to assert that Snyder and his corporate backers had no evident motive to produce a joyless spectacle of power beyond their own aggrandizement. Now, those backers were concerned about how their new venture was shaping up, and early screening did not reassure them. They asked me to fix it, and I thought I could help, Whedon told me. How he regards this decision as one of the biggest regrets of his life. Okay. At first, the studio executives told Whedon his role would be restricted to writing and advising, but soon it became clear to Whedon that they had lost faith in Snyder's vision and wanted him to take full control. A representative from Warner Brothers denied this. Snyder has publicly stated he left the project to spend time with his family. His daughter had died by suicide 2 months earlier. Whedon, now installed in the director's chair, oversaw nearly 40 days of reshoots, a complicated and laborious undertaking. From the start, things were tense between him and the stars. It wasn't just that he wanted to impose a whole new vision on their works. He introduced an entirely different style of management. Snyder had given the actors exceptional license with the script, encouraging them to ad-lib dialogue. Whedon expected them to say their lines exactly as he'd written them. And right here, all of a sudden, you see the differences between Snyder and because Snyder isn't, I wouldn't say a writer. I mean, he has written his own stuff, but Whedon exclusively comes from a writing background and became a director. That didn't go well, one crew member told me. Some actors criticized his writing. By Whedon's account, Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman, suggested that he, the director of the highest-grossing super movie at the time, didn't understand how superhero movies worked. At one point, Whedon paused the shoot and, according to the crew members, announced that he had never worked with a ruder group of people. The actors fell silent. The actors, at least some of them, felt...
Which is really weird, considering... Yeah. Look, I understand Gal's new... Ray's pretty new and stuff, but Ben's a director himself.
Yeah.
Ben's a director himself. Unless this guy was really a piece of shit, I don't see him acting like that. You know, he's a and Austin, I don't think the guy stood a chance in this. It was a poison chalice. He should have turned it down, buddy. Are you talking about Ray? Clarify that for me.
Where is he?
Because I think that chat got lost in the conversation a little bit.
I don't think the guy stood a chance in this. It was a poison challenge. He should have turned it down. I think he's talking about Joss Whedon.
Yes, if it was Joss, he should have turned it down. Yes, he should have. But Austin, they signed up for Justice League movies. You always forget Snyder didn't write this. They had to finish the movie they were contracted to do. If they were present at WB, that isn't Whedon's fault. Agreed. But hold on, that's where things start to go back to Warner Brothers blame as well. Is because Warner Brothers wanted Snyder to be their Feige. Feige didn't want to be Warner Brothers, or Snyder didn't want to be Warner Brothers Feige. He wanted to do his 5-film arc split. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's a whole other thing. But I think that's, at the end of the day, Snyder on Man of Steel and Batman BVS and stuff was still, he chose all those actors and gave them the story that he was going to mold and create. And those are the stories that got those actors to sign on in the first place. Ben has talked about that he wouldn't have signed onto the part had not been for how Batman was being portrayed, for Zack as a director, things like that. So the studio needs to be respectful of that. Yeah. These are actors, and those are their careers too. There's a lot. So yes, it's not completely Whedon's fault on that part. He was under studio mandate, but still, the blame does go back to the studio there. And as far as Whedon's behavior, again, I find it really hard to believe, Ben Affleck being one of the most well-known directors and actors in the industry, for him to act that way tells me that this guy was doing some pretty shitty stuff. Because not only that, Ben's a director. Go ahead.
Look at the quality of dialogue that Whedon, and this is not even good for Whedon, because Whedon can write well. Look at all the scenes he changed, all the dialogue he re-added and put in there. And I'm like, okay, this is not even as good as the Snyder film. He didn't make it better. He replaced entire sequences, entire scenes. of dialogue and character drama, and just made it worse. And it's like, yeah, if I were the actors, I'd be like, okay, this is not as good as the stuff I was filming 3 months ago with Zach.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems, So Lewis says, seems that Snyder and Whedon are not friends at all. I will say this about Zach. He has never said a bad word.
No, they're probably not friends. I doubt it. No, Zach's never said a bad word or anything, but he has alluded, to some things and all of that. And I'm sure the cast, told Zach about what happened and all that.
Yeah. And here we go. It says here Zach had treated Fisher as a writing partner. We know this is true. Soliciting his opinion on the film's representation of Black people, Whedon downsized Cyborg's role, cutting scenes that, in Fisher's view, challenged stereotypes. When Fisher raised his concerns about revisions in the phone, Whedon cut him off. And you know what? I remember reading this. It feels like I'm taking notes right now. And I don't
I agree.
Not even Robert Downey Jr.
I agree, Benson's, in that the Snyder films were not pulling in the money that Warner wanted them to, and so they decided to shift things. Agreed, 100%. The blame on Whedon here is the treatment of the actors, the treatment of the cast, the treatment of the story, his arrogance. That's where Whedon comes into play.
And then the pattern that goes back 20 plus years.
Exactly, and the power plays that he would make. For example, threatening Gal's career, things like that. Acting, like I said, the whole thing of he's a writer who's, like, let's be honest, he has had a lot of success.
Yeah,
but he does not have a large career / filmography. The few things that he's done have been very successful and well received, but he's not at the place to be going to actors like Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons and all that. Stick to my script. Don't ad-lib. Don't give me notes. Don't give me suggestions.
And
he's not at that place. And it comes and for him to act like that at his age with his career makes him come off as arrogant and a piece of crap and not somebody that should be working on these types of movies.
And like, look, Warner Brothers' blame is that they tried to change course midstream. Okay. But they probably weren't aware, if they were, I don't know if they were, of Whedon's behavior or what Whedon would do. Warner Brothers is not responsible for what Whedon did on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, on Angel, the way he treated his staff, the way he behaved in his offices. I mean, the issue with the article isn't that he just made a bad movie. The issue with the article is that this guy was really, look, he could have made a bad movie and still be a nice guy. There are a lot of nice directors who have made crap movies. That we're not saying that, Justice League is bad, therefore Joss Whedon's a bad guy. What we're saying is it seems like he was a bad guy for a very long time. And it was because of what happened on Justice League that all this stuff started coming out, coinciding with the Me Too movement. All this stuff. It's like an avalanche. Another story, another story, another story. The same thing kind of happened to Bill Cosby. It started with one story, then two, then three, then dozens of women saying, yep, that's what happened to me. And he comes off very much as unsympathetic, unempathetic, kind of callous in this article. There's no that's not how I want it to be. He's sort of like, no, they're all wrong. I never said that. I never did this. I never did that.
Again, now, Benson, I want to ask you because I know he's having some conversations with people in the chat and all that. Because Benson, you keep saying I'm pointing out the facts, which Fisher has yet to do. But again, I'm curious. What do you not see as factual? Fisher's pointing out that Joss did not confirm in this article because Joss basically confirms everything. That's why we're talking about this. Is probably one. This is bad PR management. Because he puts his foot in his mouth 1,500 times in here. So I ask you, what is it that you're getting from this article that is not confirming what Ray said, or is that, or that is that you're not seeing as fact?
Yeah. Now, the only thing is that Whedon says right here that so basically they have to change the color complexion of the actor's skin And then Whedon says was stunned. He had given the whole movie a brighter look, brightening everything in post-production, including the faces. He said the claim that he had disliked the character's skin tone, which Forbes ultimately retracted, was false and unjust. Look, anyone who's worked in lighting knows that if you're a person of color, you need a little extra lights. I have 2 lights on me right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't see me.
This is why I used to do my own makeup for theaters, because nobody knew how to light.
Yeah.
A Mexican.
So go Austin, do your thing. But I'm gonna keep reading here for a minute. And this goes back to the Charisma Carpenter thing. Some of Whedon's defenders, Jody's Corner. What if Fisher had been doing Snyder's bidding? Without furnishing proof, they speculate that Snyder had tricked, so Snyder's now involved, in Fisher into thinking Whedon was a racist, or maybe Fisher knew perfectly well his allegations were BS. Either way, the actor and director had manufactured a controversy that made Snyder seem like a progressive ally while diverting attention from the fact that their early cut had been a disaster. Well, apparently not, because that's the cut that everyone wants a sequel to. Whedon's advocates believed this campaign had poisoned Carpenter against Whedon. So meaning that this case, Carpenter had no issues with Whedon up until, this is what they're suggesting, up until all this stuff came out, causing her to see the complicated story of their relationship as a simple narrative of abuse. Woo, that's a big pretzel you got to tie yourself into. Once someone lights a fuse and people sees there's a flame, they run to it and throw stuff into it. One person in Whedon's circle said. Again, this reminds me so much of the R. Kelly interview. When she's like, what about all these women who are accusing you? He's like, for money. I'm a very rich man. And one person says, R. Kelly did this to me. They want money. And then 10 other people will be like, R. Kelly did the same thing to me. And then they want my money. Like, that's what this sort of sounds like. The kind of pretzel twisting you have to do to kind of justify some of the accusations. And look, I'm always an innocent until proven guilty, but this is a pattern of behavior. And just like the R. Kelly interview, guys, if you ever seen it, they did with Gayle King. Like, it's all about money. They just wanted my money, so they made up these stories that I did this to such and such girl. And then another girl hears the same story, and she's like, oh, he did it to me too. And then the third girl did, and again, Cosby kind of gave a similar explanation. In our conversations, Whedon was somewhat more circumspect. Quote, I don't know who started it, he told me. I do know in whose name it was done. Uh-oh. Snyder superfans were attacking him online as a bad feminist and a bad husband. They don't give an F about feminism, he said. I was made a target by my ex-wife, so now it's his ex-wife's fault, and people exploited that cynically. As he explained this theory, his voice sank into a hoarse whisper. She put out a letter saying some bad things I'd done and saying some untrue things about me, but I had done bad things, and so people knew I was gettable. When Snyder's 4-hour cut was finally unveiled, it was critically acclaimed. His fans poured through both films to analyze the differences. Some seized on a belief first put forth by Fisher that Whedon had intentionally erased people of color from the film. A remarkable reversal had taken place. 15 years earlier, Snyder's work is probably seen as the epitome of problematic cinema. His breakout effort 300, a sword and sandal epic about the Persian Wars, was so overtly racist in the view of the United Nations delegation from Iran. Yeah, but who cares what Iran thinks? Screw Iran. Now the internet had recap. Yeah, so that did happen, folks. When 300 came out, it's like all these white Spartans are fighting all these brown Persians. I'm like, yeah, but that's what they look like. That's what do you want? Cambodian Persians? Like Persians were Persians, Spartans were Greek, tend to look white. But it was an issue when that movie came out. It was a stupid issue, but it was an issue. And the hell with the UN, they're useless. The UN doesn't solve crap. Now, the internet had recast Snyder as a progressive hero while branding Whedon, its progressive hero of yesterday, as a villain and a bigot. The beginning of the internet raised me up. I'm sorry if the author is saying this part. This kind of bugs me. The internet had recast Snyder as a progressive hero while branding Whedon its progressive hero of yesterday. I am so sorry, but this is all within the culture that Hollywood has created. This sort of like uber woke cancel culture they have created. So if this does happen, let's say there's some truth to that now Snyder's the progressive ally and Whedon is now the progressive ally of yesterday. That's the culture that you created, Hollywood. You created that culture. So if the author seems to have a problem with this and needs to go back to complaining about 300, like, Why were the Greeks portrayed as white and the Persians as brown? Because the Greeks were white and the Persians were brown. I'm sorry, they were not woke in like the 4th century BC. Whedon's house. I'm going to read the comments real quick. I got to catch up on the comments. There he is. There he is. Yeah, it is. It does seem to want to. It's weird. That is weird. I mean, tell me, have there been any accusations against Zach? Their accusations are coming from the conspiracies. It's one thing the media will be like, QAnon, they have all these crazy conspiracists. Alex Jones, crazy conspiracists, and they're right. But when it comes to their own conspiracy theories, just like in this article just now, like, Charisma Carpenter was manipulated by what she saw happening on the internet. And, Zach was considered problematic in 2006. And now Snyder has been this switch reverse. It's like, dude, what are you trying to do? It seems like the author may be trying to, there we go. Hey, Benson, it's your best friend. I think Benson and Integrity are actually both brothers. Like Sherlock and what's Sherlock's brother's name? Mycroft, like those two, they're both two sides of the same coin. Prakash, it's good to see you again. People saying Batman and Superman being in a movie, you should make a bill. Forget they do it. Not everyone take new versions. We've had that conversation before. It should have done better. Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. So here's now that Austin's gone, I'm kind of with Benson. I need to know more about the racism thing. I'm not like, oh, he said a racist, swastika. No. I need to hear more specifics because even the Jeff Johns things, like Jeff Johns allegedly said to a black woman, she said, "Can I change my hair?" He says, "No." She's like, "Well, black women often change their hair." And Jeff Johns says, "Yeah, that's not true." And you're like, dude, that's not cool until you find out he's married to a black woman, And so I was like, okay, well done. Now there's some context behind that statement. So Joss Whedon could be a lot of things. I need a little more proof about the racism thing. At least that part, because I haven't heard it. Because look, he created a couple of black characters in Angel. There's a character named Gunn who was my favorite character in Angel. Phenomenal character. I don't know if I'm ready to jump on that bandwagon just yet. But if it's this whole thing about coloring, look, if I turn this light off, you're not going to see me as well. I am a person of color, so I need extra lights on me. We have to be lit differently. Black people have to be lit differently. That's a common thing that happens. Asta still aren't Iranians Persian? Yeah. So first of all, who cares what Iran thinks? All right, they're a terrorist nation, but they were complaining about the way they were portrayed. Yeah, but it was a simple story of invaders, and it's going back to the Gal Gadot Mediterranean thing. Worldwide box office Superman the movie is $300 million in 1978 is crazy. By the way, that is a lot of money. That's probably closer to $1 billion. We can go over that way. So, if you convert, you have to take into account inflation, especially today, because inflation sucks right now. I do Quizzo. I bought a box of pens. I used to pay $3 for a box of 60 pens. $7 now. It's a great economy, folks. That's why Benson's 10 pounds. That's a lot of money. Thank you, guys. Please use super chats if you can. We aren't brothers. This guy's just obsessed. I don't YouTube. Oh, Kasuka's here. Kasuka, I was thinking about you. Because Joss Whedon was talking about how he hooked up with his female fans. I was like, I wonder what Katsuka's doing right now. Anyway, lit differently. Yeah, lit differently. He's no frack him. I like nice little Battlestar Galactica thing. I've been trying to use frack more often instead of saying the actual F word. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's probably true. The inflation calculator, if you can do that online. WB was anti-Snyder. I don't know if that's true, because if that were the case, they would have moved forward. They would say, okay, Zach, you made Man of Steel great. Now we're going to move on. We're going to get another director to make a Batman vs. Superman movie. And they didn't. They trusted Zach. Remember, Zach's relationship with Warner Brothers goes back to, I guess, 300. 300, Watchmen, the Owl movie that he did. Sucker Punch didn't do so well. But Zach has had a pretty good relationship with Warner Brothers. And then, if you want to get into specifics, BVS, adjusted for inflation, is at $1 billion. Superman is a phenomenal film, and Christopher Reeve. If you ever watched the original Superman, there's so much dirty talk between Superman and Lois in their interview that's like hidden underneath a PG, rating, where she's like, "Can you see my underwear?" And he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to make you blush." Superman is like, "Sorry, I have trouble seeing through lead." "Oh, you can't see through lead." He's like, "Pink." She's like, "What?" "It's pink." And she's like, "Oh." He's like, "I'm sorry, Miss Lane. I didn't mean to make you blush." And then she's like, "Do you like pink?" And he's like, I like pink very much, Lois. I'm like, oh, how did that get past the censor? Sorry. Hey, wait a minute. There we go. All right, Benson's interface interference started after that. I love Superman. Superman the movie is pretty good, and I like both versions of. Actually, there are parts of both the Donner cut and the theatrical cut that what was his name, Richard Lester, I think, who directed it. Aspects of that movie. Did we lose Kasuka? Did we trigger Kasuka? But here we go. Let's keep going. 2019. Whedon had begun seeking treatment for sex and love addiction, along with other addictive tendencies. James Franco, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein have all taken similar paths. Was he using a page out of some crisis management playbook? So let's clarify something. Whedon has, from what I've seen or heard, Whedon has not been accused of like the R word, rhymes with tape or drape. But that he has done other things. So I don't know if I would put him in the same league as Weinstein or Spacey. He just seemed to use his power. Here's the thing about. I don't know if we should go there. No, adjusted for inflation. That's what someone calculated. Adjusted, so 800 whatever million in today's money would be about $1 billion. So adjusted for inflation. Here's okay. Let's. Our parents around, my family around. Okay, here's the thing about sexual dynamics. Every person at some point wants to feel sexually confident. If you read this article, Whedon talks a lot about, and we've all experienced this. I don't care how good looking you are, how much you get laid now. At some point, you felt inadequate. You weren't good looking enough. You weren't tall enough. Your nose is too big. Your forehead's too big. Your voice isn't deep enough. We've all gone through stuff. It seemed like this guy internalized a lot of that. And what he did with a lot of his anger is that he started writing. All right. This guy went to some really good schools in England. Joss Whedon starts writing. He creates Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He creates Angel. He creates Firefly, Cabin in the Woods. A very talented writer, don't get me wrong. So all of a sudden, this guy goes from being a loser, one day, a loser who's not very good looking. All of a sudden now he gets to decide. He casts the most beautiful. He casts Allison Hannigan. He casts Sarah Michelle Gellar. He casts Charisma Carpenter, who's like so freaking stunning. And now they are subservient to him. They have to do what he says. It's basically like this guy got no tail. This is. I'm going to do some like what they call pseudo psychoanalysis analysis. All of a sudden now he's got power. He's got the studio's backing. He's a showrunner. And they're like, hey, you want to do another show? Here's Angel. You want to do another show? Here's Firefly. He gets to work with some incredibly beautiful women, and he sees opportunity. And he uses his power to control them, to manipulate them, to harass them. It's sort of like the story of like the high school nerd who becomes a cop so he can pick on other people. If you ever heard of that complex, like a kid who got picked on a lot is, in high school, it's wrong. He was bullied. He becomes a police officer, and then every interaction he has, it's like, step out of the car. Where's your license? Like really over. This is a documented thing. It's happened. Bill Maher calls it Revenge for High School, and it seems like Joss Whedon was a nobody. Now he becomes a somebody, and he used that power to assert himself. And Gal Gadot was not having any of it. Ben Affleck was not having any of it. There have been no stories from the Avengers side of it, as far as I know. Have you guys heard any stories? But I'm going to go ahead and assume that he kept his behavior on key during the filming of Avengers, because in the first Avengers movie, there's only one real woman in there. I mean, I think it's just Scarlett Johansson. That's it. Just her and Kobe Smulders. That's it. He's basically surrounded by guys who are all much bigger than he is, and he's working on a Disney movie. He seems to be in a better place, but every other project, it seems to me at least, that he had this power. Hold on a second. I hope you guys are not still arguing with each other. I was debating with you on the fact that Rel is not correct about top grossing. Rel was correct that BVS with inflation is $1 billion. In fact, adjusted for inflation, I believe the highest grossing movie adjusted for inflation is Gone with the Wind. I might be wrong about that, but it's crazy. Like, so you look at some people said, well, look, Solo didn't make as much, almost made a little bit less than Return of the Jedi. Well, the purchasing power of $1, folks, if you're living in America, have you noticed how prices are going up? Because $1 is no longer worth what it was. So when a movie made $300 million, in 1977, it was like making $1 billion or 1.2 billion today. It's a big deal.
Right. And look, Rel.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta look. I see your point. And what you're trying to say, Rel, with the use of Benson's logic, but unfortunately, it doesn't work. Again, I understand what you're trying to say and stuff, but here's the thing, right? So in 1970, whatever, Superman came out. That movie made $300,000
$300 million. Yeah.
300. Yeah, not 300 million. Thank you, 300 million. You know, not counting the DVD sales, not counting anything after that. We're talking strictly box office. So when it comes to box office, yes, you know, Superman holds the because $300 million back in 1970, whatever that movie came out in, because I don't know. You know, today translates to 1.5, almost $1.5 billion. You know, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not necessarily talking about how much the movie made since then or anything like that, because that's where your argument of trying to say that BVS gets to $1 billion. Unfortunately, that's where the argument doesn't work, right? Is because the box office run, you know, money hasn't. It's not been long enough that money has grown in value, and also we do live in America, and money has not grown in value in some time. So, you know, yeah, you can't. Yeah. It's not the same argument.
And not only that, look, I'm not saying BVS didn't make a profit, but it didn't make the profit they wanted it to make. Exactly. You know, it's like, whoa, this under.
No. Now here's the thing: BVS made profit.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny that, and so that's where you're wrong too, right? Benson's is saying the Snyder film didn't make profit. No, BVS made a profit. Man of Steel made a profit. It didn't make the profit Warner Brothers wanted, but they made profits.
And it made another $82 million in DVD and Blu-rays, so it did make more money. But
right, and now you also have to understand too. You know, the advertisement of a different cut on Blu-ray helps a lot with those sales, right? The fact that you're getting extra footage and all of that was advertised, and you know, they had claimed that there was a lot of things with that I think helped boost the sales. There was the R rating, you know. But again, you can't make that argument for the Superman thing. Let's see here. Let's see where the chat. Sorry, I'm off camera, guys. Yeah, I'll show. Like, I had a terrible allergic reaction to something yesterday, and this eye is just all sorts of messed up. I'm literally putting a cold towel on it and everything. I broke out in hives yesterday, so it was fun. It's been a fun couple of days. But I mean, I guess I'm already on camera now. I might as well just stay on. Well, you know, who cares? But let me see. Let me jump up to some of the comments here, because I got a little bit behind because I'm Cyclops today. Let's see. Rel, none of the Snyder's movies made a profit. Using inflation to try and win an argument is ridiculous. I already addressed that. The Snyder movies did make profit, just not the ones they wanted. Let's see. It made money, just not exactly. I can't believe they spend over $200 million to make. That's a lot of money. But hey, you gotta admit, it looks good. It looks good. I just went through. I just kind of explained, Lewis. I had a weird allergic reaction to something yesterday. I don't know what it was. And this eye is super swollen. Basically, it looks like I got a black eye. I don't know why. It's super swollen and irritated and stuff. And so I figured I showed you guys. I figured I'd just stay on. Who cares at this point, right? I'm going to take it off for a second, though. Okay. I see what you mean, Austin. Thanks for correcting me. I'm just having fun with Pepsi. No, look, I understand, because, you know, look, I understand where you're coming from with that, Ralph. You know, it's, I just didn't want it to, you know, and I know things can kind of in the chat seem maybe too serious or whatever, come off a different way. Yeah, Katsuka, you know the number one rule about Fight Club. Don't talk about Fight Club, but I've been in
real quick, I got a call from Caden. Caden wanted to clarify. He's having issues with StreamYard. Batman vs. Superman did turn a profit. All of Snyder's films did turn a profit.
Yes, I said that.
Yeah, but I think the reason Warner Brothers panicked is they were expecting Batman vs. Superman to be like what No Way Home is now. No Way Home just went to number 2 after like 5 weeks, and Scream became number 1.
And that's where
they want that kind of dominance, like Black Panther had for 6 weeks, top of the box, like The Dark Knight had 4 weeks, number 1 at the box office.
And that's where Snyder fans have to admit, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, if you're a studio, that's a concerning sign. Yeah. That is a concerning sign for Batman and Superman. Those two have never been on film together, and individually they've both grossed $1 billion. We can now say that.
The hype before BVS came out was crazy. Mm-hmm. The hype was crazy. So it made 330 domestically, but like compare that to The Dark Knight, which came out 5-6 years earlier. The Dark Knight came out in 2008. That made 534 million domestically. Like,
and look,
the expectations were high.
Yeah, Ralph says WB wanted that instant MCU money, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. You have to earn it. Yes, and that's where I start to look, and I say this all the time. I get chastised for it. It's kind of like the Transformers movies. Okay. They're not, Snyder's films don't even come close to being as bad as the Transformers movies.
Yeah.
But I do have a lot of issues with those movies, specifically Batman versus Superman. And I do think that, yes, that movie should have made $1 billion. And whoever, whether it was the studio or Snyder himself, that movie feels very rushed to give you the Justice League. It ends with, you see the three of them. You get the death of Superman. It just feels very, very, very rushed. And again, I don't know if that's Snyder or the studio, probably a combination of both. I think Snyder deciding to use all of those mixtures of stories was a little much. But again,
Benson, so the whole it needs to make 3 times its budget to make a profit, that's sort of like a rule of thumb. It's sort of like in business to say when you make a product, you should charge 2.5. So if it costs like $1 to make, you should charge at least $3.50 to make it. The movie did turn a profit. It wasn't a big profit, but it turned a profit. If it wasn't, then they wouldn't have given Zach the keys to BVS.
Yes.
Lewis says I have to get up early, so I'll have a lot to go and see most of y'all later. Rel says I think the problem is waiting too long for BVS. Doing it after multiple team-up movies, it wasn't as special. I guarantee you if Bale had returned as an established Batman, I had heard rumors that they had originally wanted it to be Bale, like Man of Steel was supposed to technically be.
Honestly, Rel, if they just would have given Batman or Ben his solo film in between, you had 3 years. That's honestly what should have been done. Is he should have gotten his solo Batman film.
Yeah. Yeah, he should have. But anyway,
or a Man of Steel sequel.
Yeah, Man, which I'm still kind of wondering why they're not greenlighting. Instead, we're going to get Ta-Nehisi Coates' Superman.
Right.
So here we go. 2020, HBO revealed that Whedon would no longer serve the Nevers. That was a show. His science fiction series about women with supernatural power. The network scrubbed his name from the show's marketing materials. That can't be fun. They've downplayed his role in Buffy. Of course, you can't do that. So it's interesting because on one hand, he sort of created this feminist icon in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And so the question becomes, can you write great female characters and still be a scumbag? And my answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he could be a feminist in the political sense.
Sure. Like, and make himself on the outside. Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
But, like, he himself can be terrible with women,
Sure, absolutely.
Because I'm still shocked The Dark Knight Rises is held in high regards. I kind of agree with you there. I was not a big fan. I think Man of Steel 2, then BVS. I think they weren't sure if Man of Steel 2 would have made as much money. That's why they put the Batman.
I've long said Man of Steel 2 is what should have happened. Now I had an idea for Man of Steel 2 that I think would have been pretty interesting, but they probably would have done Brainiac or something like that. I say take him off world, take him to War World. But,
Okay. Yeah, I mean, another alien invasion on Earth would be like, okay, really? We just did that in Man of Steel.
Yep.
But guys, while we have 17 of you in here, make sure to stay tuned on Thursday. We're going to have a special show. We have an announcement to make on Thursday. Ty will be hosting. Me, Ty, and Austin.
Yes.
On Thursday. So
we're going to have a threesome on air.
Well, I'm gonna substitute myself with Caden, and
not like that, but like a threesome conversation.
Yeah.
Because we're not even all in the same state, so that couldn't happen anyways. Get your minds out of the gutter.
I'm talking about like 2014. Like, remember when he did that big stage show where they announced, when they showed the Batman and Superman logo on screen? What was that, like 2014 or something?
Man.
Like,
yep.
Yeah, that was. Whew. So am I, Kasuka. Hey, Geek Studios, what's up? But Kasuka says, I'm still waiting on Man of Steel 2. I still want Man of Steel 2. I still think it can happen. All they have to do is green light it. They can get whatever writer director they want. But we don't know what's going to happen to The Flash. What is The Flash setting up? Are those rumors all true?
Geeks! Hey, guys. Shout out to Geeks, man. I hope you're feeling better. We love you. We're sending you some love. Hope you're doing well, bud.
Yeah. This gets into like so much detail, but there's nothing. I think we pretty much covered everything that's in this. I wanted to go through it all, but like there's a lot in here.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot.
So here we go. Now, so basically, at the point the story ended right here. There we go. Still absolutely, yeah. I think I'm one of the nicer showrunners that ever been. That's
a way to go out.
Yeah. Yep. Well,
because that's a claim.
That is a claim.
That is a claim. If I've ever
and look, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of cancel culture. What's happening to Joss Whedon is not cancel culture at all.
No, it's retribution.
It's retribution, and he kind of looks like Charlie from Raging Entertainment a little bit, like Charlie in about 30 years.
Oh, God.
Good friend of the show, Charlie. But yeah.
Rel says, threesome, save it for y'all's OnlyFans. This is the OnlyFans, Rel.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But Katsuga, giggity. All right.
It's better to be a Snyder bro than a Whedon simp. Look, it's funny. Like 2 weeks ago or last week, I think we were like, all right, we're done with the Snyder talk. We've said everything we want to say about it. And then some last year, and we get pulled. It's like Pacino, The Godfather 3. Every time I think I'm out, they just pull me back.
Back in. Yep.
But Geek Studios get better. Kasuga says, giggity, save it for your OnlyFans. Hey, listen. Once I would have and I've said this before, I would have the body of an Adonis if I only ate. I work out like a dog. I run. I lift. But unfortunately, I eat garbage. It doesn't help that I host trivia 3 to 4 times a week at a bar and I get free food. And that becomes my dinner. Otherwise, I would be up here. I wouldn't have this. I'd probably have a deeper voice. I'd probably sound more like a dude, bro. Throwing hits you. Welcome, guys, to Jivin with Jack. Next thing I'd be doing that thing where you can kind of like move your boobs without touching them,
Yeah.
I'd be like, guys, issue number 1, point number 2, and you can like see my like veins protruding. But if that ever does happen, then we'll talk about the only.
All right, I gotta address this.
I thought what happened? Where are we late?
We're cool, but come on, man. There are tons of Snyder Bros. Tons of them.
Yeah.
Tons of them.
So and we've been on the negative side of them.
Don't even try that.
Yeah, there are the toxic ones. Integrity. They're out there because we've had some of our own colleagues attacked
by them.
Because they're, even though we're like on their side, they're like, oh, but you're not on their side enough. It's like, really, there's some really toxic fans out there. I wish they came on this show and started some crap and get the super chats running, but apparently not. I'll see you at Poindexter Lounge later. Oh, sorry, I didn't read that whole thing. I thought that I didn't read. Right. Anyway, yeah. So, Joss Whedon, I don't know what you were thinking, but he comes off completely as a narcissist, like no remorse at all about even how things went, Mm-hmm. And honestly, like, I'm not saying I would have forget. Like, I'd be like, listen, dude, if the guy apologized to Ray Fisher, reached out personally, and says, look, and even if Ray rejects that, you can say, hey, look, I did my best. Things didn't go well. I talked to him. I reached out to Charisma Carpenter, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Michelle Trachtenberg, all these other people. But again, it reminds me of the R. Kelly thing. Were you here when I talked about how R. Kelly said, like, why do you say these accusations are false? Like, one person says R. Kelly did this to me for money, and then three other people are like, he did it to me too. That's what's really going on. That was R. Kelly's explanation, that basically it was like a conspiracy to get money from him. And it's
okay, Prakash, dude, gave you a chance, bro.
Yeah,
gave you a chance.
He's talking about you guys, not me.
Gave you a chance.
So
Again, I now say it on stream. You just continue to show how ignorant you actually are. Like, it's here, so that way, because I know I don't have my face. There's my face. No, you just continue to show how ignorant you. Please, Prakash, continue to make comments out of your ass about me and Ty and RJ, who you clearly don't watch and don't like, but claim to know all of our opinions on stuff. So please continue to make comments. But yeah.
See, Prakash, here's the thing. So Benson, we disagree with Benson more than anyone else on the street. We were not like, Benson, get out of here. We hate you, Benson. We'll take his British pounds. But in all seriousness, that's what, look, civil discourse and even uncivil discourse should be about ideas being exchanged. We're not taking, if anything, I'm not taking Whedon's side. I am saying that I did like the guy for so many years, going back to when I was 11, 12 years old. But Justin Hines gets the super chats going. How about that Xbox? Holy crap. Big move. First they get, who owns the Elder Scrolls? Who is that? Who owns Elder Scrolls?
Elder Scrolls is Bethesda, which they already have.
Bethesda, and now they got, forget everything else. They got Call of Duty. And even though Call of Duty is not as popular or as good as it was 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I still play it. I still buy it every year. That's a power move, because now I think I might need to get an Xbox. And luckily they are on sale. They are available. I think I might get an Xbox, because if they have Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Call of Duty with Modern Warfare 2 possibly around the corner, I might need to get an Xbox soon. I saw my PlayStation, but damn. Yeah, Prakash, he was, what Benson was saying that Warner Brothers shares in some of the blame as well. That's what he was saying. Mm-hmm. And they just, thank you, Justin. Just build. I don't want to sit in front of my computer. I want to play on my big screen, and I like the way the Xbox console looks. All right, it looks like an air filter. I like it.
Dude, look at this thing. Look at this bad boy. Oh god. There we go. Yeah. Series X.
I love how the PlayStation now looks like an Xbox, because it's all white and shit.
Exactly. Yeah. It looks like the old one.
Yeah. It looks like an Xbox. Yeah. I was never like, how do I put this? Maybe I got into the wars when I was younger, but as I got older, I just don't care. Whatever. If people like the Xbox, like it. Look, when Metal Gear Solid became available to Xbox fans, PlayStation fans were mad. I'm like, no, that's a good thing. If you like the franchise, that means more people will be playing Metal Gear. It's, and that means it's going to become a bigger franchise. This happened like 2009. They announced Metal Gear Solid is coming to Xbox 360, and everyone was like, whoa, that's a huge deal. I'm like, good. I want Metal Gear for everyone. I want everyone to play Metal Gear. So And since then, all the major Metal Gear releases have also been on the Xbox so that more people can play them. Justin made a PC, so he doesn't need an Xbox. So, Justin, do you have the Xbox Series X? Because if you don't want it, I'll buy it off you.
Right.
Contact me. Yeah, I know I can connect to the TV. It just seems like too much work. You tell me if Marvel had banned the plan after Age of Ultron. Hands up, on then gone direction. I don't know. Marvel was never that stupid to do something like that. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Prakash. You're basically saying, like, what if they decide to abandon the Infinity story but they didn't. I got to give credit to Marvel that even though Age of Ultron, by the way, made a lot of money, it didn't make as much as the first film. They were like, oh my God, let's recast everyone. They stuck with their guns. And even though some of their products have been lackluster, they stuck with their guns. They've stuck with their casting.
Mm-hmm.
They've stuck with it. So I can't really say what if Marvel had done that. Then, yeah, we would be having different conversations right now. But, Marvel, remember, that's the end of phase 2. We're talking about 2 phases ago. We're in phase 4 right now. So I'm playing Fallout 4. Here's my Fallout 4 poster. There it is right there. Check that shit out. Boom. That's my Fallout 4 poster. I still never finished Fallout 4. I still have to. Well, exactly. And Prakash, you're right. We might be mad, but that's the thing. Marvel did not do that.
Yeah.
At first, they got rid of Edward Norton because he was being a prick, and they had to replace Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle. That's like at best what I can say to Marvel not being loyal to people. And every actor in the world wants to work with Marvel. And look, I have been very critical of the MCU, despite what some people in this chat might say. Very critical, but they stick with their guns. They took a character like Hawkeye, who was not as popular as the other Avengers, and gave him his own story. They have some respect for these characters. I even applaud them. They could easily recast Matt Murdock and Kingpin and be like, nope, we're doing our own thing. But they know that those characters have fans. And they got Vincent D'Onofrio and they got Charlie Cox back. They didn't have to do that. They could easily say, you know what, the Netflix thing's its own thing. Just like the X-Men Fox universe is its own thing, we're doing our own thing. No, they said, okay, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to get those 2 actors back to play those 2 characters. So far as sometimes as I get frustrated with Marvel, they're trying to still do right by their characters and by the fans. So you could say, well, what if Marvel had done this? Then we would be going after Marvel, but they haven't.
Exactly. If they had, dude, we'd be on them just like this.
I hate you, Caden. Go away. Oh,
let's see.
No, personal attacks doesn't make you right. Like, personally attacking another person doesn't make your point more valid. It doesn't work.
Right.
Unless you're Trump and helps you become president. You're a loser.
And if you are trying to make a point, maybe you should do your research and know what you're talking about before you make it.
Tyler Roberts, he'll be on Thursday. So make sure you stay tuned for that show. That'll be a big show. I played the Xbox. I'd feel like a traitor for bought one. No, not anymore. I think times are different now. I mean, Xbox has gotten so many games. Halo Infinite's getting great reviews.
They're so good. So good. Benson asked, I played the Xbox by oh gosh, hold on, bring that comment back. I missed it. Ral's comment. I would play the Xbox. Where is it?
I'm trying to find it. I played the Xbox, so I'd feel like a traitor if I bought one. That one?
Yeah. That's funny. No, man. Hey, look. At the end of the day, Benson's, they're both phenomenal. Okay, both consoles are great. At the end of the day, it's just about choosing.
Well, because you're Japanese.
Which right?
He's like on PS PlayStation.
Oh my god! It's just about choosing which exclusives you like more. Do you like God of War and you got Sony's Spider-Man? You got some great games on the PlayStation. Uncharted, or do you like Fallout? Do you like Skyrim? Do you like Halo? Xbox? It's just that's really where it comes down to. As far as the speed or the perks.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
They're both
Ratchet and Clank.
Flight Simulator, which is
Forza PlayStation. No, Forza's Xbox, right?
Forza Horizon, the new one, dude. Oh, so good. Drive through Mexico.
Bloodborne, Ghost of Tsushima, Shadow, Last of Us, all the games by that guy David Cage, like Detroit Become Human, Infamous, which hasn't.
And
been
also,
out
like we said, Activision just bought them. So guess what? Call of Duty is probably probably.
Well, yeah, that's so. Okay, so here's the question: Call of Duty, like clockwork, sells at least 15 to 20 million copies a year. At their peak, they were selling like 30.
Right.
15 to 20 million is a big deal. They're a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Oh yeah.
Would Xbox make it exclusive?
I think they,
because they're going to lose a lot of revenue if it's just, or do you think they do a delayed release? Like, okay, it comes out for Xbox. Modern Warfare comes out in October. If you're a PlayStation fan, you might have to wait till April.
Yep.
And the kids are going to be like, Mom, I want an Xbox.
You know, you got Gears on Xbox, Gears of War. You got, the Sea of Thieves. You got the Horizon games, Quantum Break, Titanfall, Halo, Dead Rising.
By the way, Titanfall is made by the original Infinity Ward, the guys who made the original Call of Duty game.
And it is a good game.
The second one I love.
Is very good.
Yeah. It was phenomenal. And the shooting mechanics, you're like, wow, this feels good. It's because that's the original Infinity Ward. Those guys.
Game Pass is ridiculous. PS games, for me, are just hands down better. Oh man, I disagree with you there. I'm in love with Game Pass. It's the best. I mean, all the game Halo Infinite, day one. I didn't have to buy Halo Infinite.
Wait, is that like the thing where you subscribe and you can play a certain amount of games?
I can play hundreds of games.
Okay.
Hundreds. Titanfall, got it through Game Pass. Like literally hundreds and hundreds of, not just like little indie games. The entire Gears of War franchise, Mass Effect remastered, the new zombie game, what is it, Bloodborne or whatever it's called. I mean, like there is so much.
Here's the good thing about it. For the last about 13 years, I would say last 12 years, PlayStation has been outselling Xbox. So when Xbox 360 first came out, it dwarfed PlayStation 3. But PlayStation played the longer game, and eventually PlayStation 3 outsold Xbox 360 towards the end. Then PlayStation 4 outsold the Xbox One. And right now the PlayStation 5 is outselling the Xbox Series X. I don't like that. I want there to be competition. PlayStation had to make better games because Xbox 360 was kicking their butt. They're like, okay, what do we do? Competition sharpens your opponents. So right now, PlayStation has to make some big moves. They need to create a big franchise because Uncharted is over. Last of Us is over. You know, they have God of War. PlayStation now has to hunker down. It's like, all right, they just got Fallout. They just got Elder Scrolls, and now they have Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. And
not to mention the upcoming slate of Bethesda games that, I mean, it's like there's some good stuff. But that's just like you said, Justin, like it's just about what exclusives do you like more? I mean, look, and that's the thing. Like, I do love God of War. I love if I had the money, dude, I would have a PlayStation 5 as well. I would have them both. I would be playing Spider-Man on my PlayStation, God of War. You know, I'd be playing Uncharted. I'd be playing The Last of Us. But it's kind of like Benson said. I'm not saying you're old, but you said it. So, but I'm not old. But Halo was the first video game I ever played on a console.
Xbox Series X is the newest one, right?
Yeah, of my own.
Okay, so you can get it at Walmart for about $700. So it is available.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get it through Walmart. Walmart has terrible shipping. Like, you order something, it takes weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, so Xbox Series X. So they are available.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, I think the Xboxes are more available than the PlayStation.
Yeah, because the PlayStation, they have these stupid things where they can't get the chips in it or whatever.
Yeah. It's been a year now.
More than a year. We're coming on a year and 3 months, 15 months almost. I'm lucky I got the one that I got.
Dude, you are in a rare percentage of people.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of games, guess what game I finished the main campaign for? Far Cry 6. And this time I made the decision. Far Cry games get very tedious. I said, you know what? I'm just doing the main story. I did not feel like putting 120 hours and doing all this stuff.
See, I did do that with Far Cry 4. Did you play Far Cry 4?
Yes.
I did that with Far Cry 4.
Yeah, so did I. And it was exhausting. I had fun, but at some point it was like I put on a podcast for 2 hours while I was doing the side stuff to level up. I'm paying attention to the podcast. And then I forgot what the hell the story was. I didn't play New Dawn that much. I know because it felt like the same exact thing. But I just finished Far Cry 6 and I loved it. I just played the main story though. I didn't do all the side missions. I was like, let me just do the main stories so the story feels coherent. You know what I mean? Like you know who the characters are. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. I played as a chick, Danny. You can play Danny the guy or Danny the girl. I played the girl. I had a lot of fun with it. Cuba or Yara, beautiful. I had fun with it. There's a lot of tedious stuff like taking down bases, but then, I go into Metal Gear Solid mode. I'm like, all right, let me see how many of these people I can take out before they raise an alarm. You know what I mean? Like you kind of get all like, kind of challenge yourself. But I enjoyed Far Cry 6. It got a lot of hate, but I enjoyed it a lot.
I haven't played it, but I want to. If they put it on Game Pass or whatever, I see that. Yeah, Halo, man, Halo's where it at, and Halo Infinite, one of the best Halo games in years.
The original Titanfall, I think, was exclusive because I played Titanfall 2 on the PS4.
Not exclusive. It was. Well, yes, the original Titanfall has always been exclusive, but it was EA.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying. It was EA.
Oh, okay.
EA developed.
They had Titanfall. Titanfall 2, I remember I played it on the PS4. And that one had a campaign. I actually enjoyed that.
Yes. Oh, so good.
That was a pretty good game. But this is a big move, and now PlayStation's got to do something big too. I'm not saying buy a studio, but like.
Well, no, Justin makes a perfect point, right? They need a new franchise, a new big game that is on the level of God of War and Uncharted and Last of Us. I've heard great things about Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah.
I really want it. Like if I ever get my hands on a PlayStation, that's one of the first games I'm getting.
I loved it.
They've been trying. I feel like they've been trying. They have.
They had Returnal. Deathloop was an exclusive that was pretty decent.
But none of them stuck as far as like a franchise.
A big franchise. Now that takes time. Even Uncharted. It wasn't until Uncharted 2 that it became huge. And right now,
there's going to be
have the Grand Theft Auto exclusive, which is like they get the upgrade first for Grand Theft Auto 5, and I can't wait for that because I've been jonesing to play Grand Theft Auto 5 again, the campaign, and I'm waiting for that. But they need to either create a new. They got Horizon Forbidden West coming out and stuff like that, but they need to. They had a really Insomniac Games who made Spider-Man. They had a shooter franchise that didn't take off called Resistance, which I thought was actually really good. It got great critic scores, but it was like aliens invade around World War II, and it was a first-person shooter. It felt like Call of Duty, like old school Call of Duty with aliens. But they tried a lot. They tried with MAG, which was they basically were doing Battle Royale before Battle Royale was a thing, and it just didn't take off.
Right.
Tyler says he has a video debuting tonight about Joss as well, so make sure you check that out. He's got the new camera, the $3 camera he said, or he meant to write $3K,
very expensive camera.
Yeah, the exclusives are better. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the next year. If PlayStation really wants to be boss, I don't know if they can even do this. Buy Rockstar, but I think that's impossible. Rockstar's too big. Rockstar way too big. I don't think Ray could buy Rockstar.
To have and that's the other thing too is Microsoft got Microsoft money. That's why they can make these purchases.
Yeah, and Rockstar is going to be like, why do I need to split my money with PlayStation and Sony when we just keep that money for ourselves? Like Rockstar, and again, they only pump out a game once every 5 to 6 years. When did Red Dead 2 come out? 2018. So we're now coming up on 3.5, 4 years later. So if you were to buy Rockstar, you're only getting a major game once every 5, 6 years. Sam says you'll tune in. I love this channel. I use Game Pass on my PC. Okay.
And Sony's
really good. That's another game.
But Sony's going to take a hit with this because it was also just announced upon close. Microsoft will offer as many Activision Blizzard games as we can on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, with new titles and games from Activision coming very soon.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think Call of Duty this year is going to be, if it's Modern Warfare 2, and that's the rumors I've heard.
Well, here's the thing. Call of Duty this year, for sure. if it doesn't release first on Xbox, it's gonna release for free on Game Pass if you have Game Pass, and that's gonna be so huge, dude. That is gonna be huge numbers for the Call of Duty numbers will go up again. Yeah, because if people don't have to pay $70, but $14 a month and play, oh my god,
yeah, that'd be huge.
That's gonna be huge, man. Overwatch has a massive base.
Yeah,
Overwatch being made available on Game Pass.
And not that I'm a scooper or anything, but from the rumors I have heard, Modern Warfare 2 is coming out this year. Modern Warfare is the one Call of Duty that got really good reviews, and fans
So they're doing a sequel to that one.
It's going to be Modern Warfare 2 with a Roman numeral, because the other one was Modern Warfare 2. That's how they're kind of getting around with it. And it will be the same Captain Price, the same characters.
Ooh.
And, that was a great campaign.
Oh my God, Jack, you're getting me so hyped up because
that's the rumor.
I'm back. I am back with Call of Duty if they pull that.
Because they spent 3 years making it. So last year it was Sledgehammer. By the way, that campaign got crapped on. I thought it was a decent campaign. I actually liked it a lot. And then 1 year before that was Black Ops Cold War, which was also pretty decent. Killzone. Yeah, Killzone was another one for the PlayStation that didn't take off. Like, it did well, but then like it didn't hold its audiences the way Modern Warfare, because Modern Warfare saved Call of Duty, because at that point they were just doing World War II games again and again. They're like, let's do Modern Warfare, let's do Black Ops, let's do Future Warfare, and they kept experimenting, and
right.
But yeah, Miles Morales is a great game. But yeah, this year, I mean, oh my,
Sony's going to take a hit with that. They're going to take a hit with that.
They are. Call of Duty is way too big. I mean, you're talking about 15 million. Every high schooler, every kid who plays Call of Duty is gonna be like, "Mom, get me an Xbox."
Same thing with Bethesda, though, man. They're gonna have Bethesda, in the Fallout games. The Fallout games are huge.
Yeah.
They're very popular. And
not to mention Elder Scrolls 6, whenever that comes out.
Gonna be massive.
That might be Grand Theft Auto, like, big.
Yes.
2 million copies sold the first day, big.
Yes. And then also you have, they're making an Indiana Jones game.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
he slammed that thing down. He was like, son of a bitch, they are. Oh my God, I gotta get it.
Because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say something that's not very popular. I don't really play the God of War series. I bought the new God of War, and I kind of got bored with it a little bit. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I personally wasn't that crazy about it. So, like, I'm not like, oh my God, God of War 2. I'm like, whatever. I'll wait till it's on sale on Black Friday, which is what I did with the first one. I'm not really into that franchise. And, like, I guess the father-son relationship didn't connect with me the way Ellie and Joel did in Last of Us, which is, I think, what made that game, Last of Us, work. But that being said, like, they're remastering Uncharted again. I'm like, hey, just come on. You've already remastered it once. Now you're remastering it again.
Again, yeah, man.
Again. And, like, I'm trying to think in terms of exclusives. I know they got Horizon Forbidden West coming out. They have a lot of decent single-player games coming out, but they need something. I didn't play Returnal. I know Returnal is supposed to be good. I don't like too many games where you're by yourself in hallways exploring stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh yeah.
I need some interaction with other people, like, in the game.
I kind of feel you.
And it's just like, oh, you're by yourself, And it's one of the reasons you're gonna get mad. I said this, that I didn't quit, but I just kind of forgot to go back to Jedi Fallen Order, because at some point it was just like you by yourself,
running around.
I'm like, can I get some interaction with some other? My favorite moments are when you meet other characters. Like, there's some parts where, like, you land on a planet and you're working with the rebels, and there's some, like, there are people to interact with through your missions, and like, there are a lot of it's like you in ancient tunnels and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, it's fun, but like after a while, I was like, oh man, I want some interaction. I want some people to talk to. I'm a social creature, so.
No, I agree, and I can understand that. That's why games like Skyrim and all that are so popular.
Yeah, Justin doesn't like Fallout. He says because when I shoot someone in the head, they should be dead.
They should be dead. That is, yeah.
But then he plays Ghost of Tsushima, where you stab someone through the head, and as long as their health bar is up, like, they're good.
They're good.
50 freaking times, like, now they're dead. I'm like, dude, the guy's dead. You sliced his neck.
I want my sequel to Arkham Knight. That's what I want.
Oh yeah, Arkham. Yeah. Oh, Gotham Knights. But see, that's not exclusive. That's Gotham Knights looks tight.
It looks okay. I'm not a fan of Warner Brothers Montreal. That's my concern.
Oh really? So you like Arkham Origins?
No.
A lot of people didn't, but I thought some of the writing in that game, the way they introduced the Joker and some of those sequences, I love. I don't know, but we'll see. They remind me of Obsidian. Remember when Obsidian made their own Fallout game and everyone hated it, and now it's considered like the best Fallout game? You ever play New Vegas?
Yep.
And then Obsidian made The Outer Worlds. That's going to be Xbox exclusive also.
Outer
Worlds 2. I love The Outer Worlds. That's made by Obsidian. I don't know if you played The Outer Worlds.
What's the big?
And that's going to be
the game.
Christ. I think I'm going to have to get it. I'm actually thinking of like replacing all this. So I have a 3-tiered shelf. Let me move this out of the way. I have a 3-tiered shelf. I got the 4 there. I got my 3 downstairs. I got my cable box, subwoofer, and PlayStation up there. I'm thinking of replacing it with like one big shelf. So I can put all the consoles from 3, 4, 5, and then the Xbox. I got one shelf, my cable box, and just kind of make it one big thing. But
Starfield,
yeah,
it's going to be huge, and that is Bethesda's. Also. That is not only an Xbox One exclusive; it will be out on day one with Game Pass. And that is an open world solar system like space game. Mm-hmm. Like you get to explore freaking planet. Like it's oh yeah. Anthony, get out of here with that take, man. Come in here like that.
Got a lot of crap, but when
come in with the hot take.
Speaking of space, you know what game came out that got trashed by critics, so I didn't buy it until like a year and a half later when it was on sale. And then I played it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Mass Effect Andromeda. I actually really enjoyed that. It was a new story, fresh slate. I thought the world in it was interesting, different planets you explore. And I was like, man, this is really cool. Obviously, it's not as many planets as Starfield might be, but it was still a really cool game, and it got trashed. I know it had a lot of bugs, but I waited a year and a half to get it. But Mass Effect Andromeda, I poured a lot of hours into that game. I really enjoyed it because, again, I was going with low expectations, but I really enjoyed that game. I had fun with it.
Starfield, man.
Starfield. Yeah, so that's going to be big. You know what? I really hate that all these people left E3. It kind of took the fun out of it. Like now PlayStation does its own thing. Xbox. I kind of liked E3.
Yeah, you get it all in one.
You all get one, and then not only that, but like, you had your big showcases. I remember when they announced Fallout 4. And then they're like, oh, yeah, it's coming out in like a few months. Uh-huh. And you're like, what? But I would love a Fallout New Vegas too. Like a new interpretation of what New Vegas was. Did you ever play New Vegas?
I did, yes. Oh, yes.
I love New Vegas.
Guess what? It's available on Game Pass. I have it downloaded.
Okay. I have the actual game. Yeah. Physical copy. I don't think but like that was a game. Like, what I liked about Fallout New Vegas is like you have this terrible wasteland, and then in the middle you have this oasis of like casinos. It's almost like a different game within the game. I like that you can get away from it, go to the casino, put on a tux, start gambling, listen to some Dean Martin, and all of a sudden it's like a different game. You're like, hey, I'm gambling, I'm putting on my shades and I'm dressed like Sinatra,
Right.
And oh, by the way, now I can go back, put my arm around, and go out to the to the wasteland. I like that there was that kind of like oasis within the wasteland. It was kind of cool.
Sure.
But it was it was pretty fun. But anyway, I think that's I didn't see Scream, unfortunately, but
it's very good. It's very good.
You liked it because I wasn't a huge fan of Scream 3 or 4. I mean, I didn't hate them, but I prefer the first two. But
this movie is phenomenal, man. It's better. It's as good as the first and second.
Okay. All right. Cool. And look how nice I made the thumbnail.
Man, look at that.
Thumbnail, and I was like, you know what? Jack did a good job. Good job, Jack.
You did do a good job. Very good.
Yeah. Yes. It was a good thumbnail. But watch Scream. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I might go see it Wednesday night. Oh crap! Not Quizzo. Oh, whatever. I'll see it eventually. I'll probably see it next weekend or whatever. But I do want to see it, and I've avoided all spoilers so far. So, folks, I appreciate all of you coming out today. Make sure you tune in for Thursday's show. We have some announcements and big news coming out.
Big news.
Good news. Big news. transformative news, you might be saying.
It's huge. It's huge news. Okay, it's the biggest news that you're ever gonna find on the internet. Okay, it's bigger than any tower, bigger than even bigger than me. Okay, that's how it is. It's gonna be the biggest.
Luckily, Caden's not here. I'll see if you don't see it by next Wednesday. Yeah. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you see our show on Twitter, retweet it. Whether it's Jivin with Jack or what Ty's going to be doing. Ty's coming on live, or he's going to have a pre-recorded video a little later tonight. So make sure you check that out. Remember, folks, we do it for you, and we do it for the culture.